To today's beautiful Friday, November 28th office hours. Today, I think we've got some people who wanted some copy reviewed, so we'll see if they show up. But while we wait, let's talk about Black Friday. Today's Black Friday. Monday is Cyber Monday. There are a lot of SMS messages going out right now, a lot of emails. And I wanted to take a look at one of the promos that I received for info through SMS. I'm good, thank you. Today's my last day at the agency, actually. So, yeah, boy is about to be liberated. And then I can just go full time with my consulting client and with Dr. Mike. So, this offer. Who knows these fine gentlemen right here? This one on the left is an old racist man from Ohio. And this one right here is a young racist from Idaho, I believe. I know that's where he lives, but I don't know if he's from there. So this is Dan Kennedy and Russell Brunson. Russell, I think 3 or 4 years ago, bought Dan Kennedy's brand Magnetic Marketing. And Dan Kennedy made that famous as, I think that was his main brand. He also had GKIC, which is the Glazer Kennedy inner circle for people who glaze Dan Kennedy. And he had a lot of other stuff going on. But I believe that Magnetic Marketing was his biggest info brand. And so a lot of really good stuff has come out of Magnetic Marketing. When Russell bought it, he started this big revival of it. So you can see, actually, we'll just go into the ad library. I'll see if they're running anything that's not Black Friday right now. Yeah, so you can see here, this is the main offer that I know that they're running. They might be running some other stuff. Let's see. Yeah, so I guess there are a few things. They also, a while ago, had one for a book. What's it called? Selling Opportunity, but I can't remember if that was through Magnetic Marketing or if that was just Russell Brunson featuring Dan Kennedy. Okay, yeah, so it looks like their main offer is the Dan Henry offer. What is this? Okay, I guess this is a webinar. How much do you want to bet that's not true? Right, so they've got, like, he did this big revival of the brand after he bought it. This seems to be their main offer. And then you've got Dan Kennedy has a series called the No BS Marketing Whatever series. So he's got like No BS. The one that I just finished recently is, I think, selling to the wealthy or selling to the affluent. He's got social media, the just like his basic direct response marketing stuff like copywriting, whatever. And he's got more niche stuff as well. So this is one of his main books, I guess, from that series. And then we've got this that just dropped today, I imagine, because I haven't received a text, or I hadn't received any texts or emails for it previously. So let's just look at what they're doing with all the copy here. The SMS, I'll read it to you guys. So the SMS said, boxes disappearing fast, Kennedy's proven system, 18K value, 997 price, running out, stop hesitating, colon, and then the URL. So very direct offer, SMS. Anyone who's coming to this page, I imagine the emails are the same. They will have seen a very, very, very direct pitch for the offer. So with that in mind, does this headline complex make sense? 60% off applied or automatically applied at checkout. and December 1st at 11:59 p.m. EST. The ultimate marketing machine, the complete system Russell Brunson studied before building ClickFunnels, the same one that saved dying businesses and still works after 40 plus years. Available for 60% off. Only 180 boxes exist. Then it's gone forever. Yes, send it to me now. Only 180 physical kits exist. So the people who come to this page, you saw they're not running any ads for it. So the only way someone could get here is if they're already aware of magnetic marketing, they're already aware of Dan Kennedy, they're already aware of Russell Brunson. Right? So they're very high awareness. Exactly, yeah. Dan Kennedy and Russell Brunson are the mechanism. So you know who these people are, you understand their authority, and then there's also the implied authority here that this is what Russell used to build ClickFunnels. And then here, just like the longevity of the program, it's existed forever, it's been working forever. Here we have scarcity, here we have scarcity. If we think about the stages of awareness and the stages of sophistication, someone who is in the information for marketing audience, they're very sophisticated, right? They've probably seen a million things. So what Yusuf said about there's no real mechanism, definitely a good criticism, but this is just Dan Kennedy, Russell Brunson, 100% an authority play, right? So you see these guys and you're like, oh, yes, for sure, I want to learn the magnetic marketing stuff. That is in itself the mechanism in this case. And then here, with the stages of awareness, someone who lands on this page would already be very high product aware. So to land on this page, if someone's product aware, most aware, what is the last thing that they need to buy? Just an incentive to buy right now. And what is that incentive? 60% off for a limited time. 82 hours left, and then this extra scarcity of only 180 physical kits exist. We can scroll down. Our boys from Cleveland, Ohio. Your business owner who's tired of being lied to. Let me say something that'll probably offend you. Most of what you've been told about marketing in the last 5 years is misleading and expensive. Not incomplete, not partially wrong, misleading, and costing you a fortune. And before you click away thinking, who the hell is this guy to tell me what I'm doing wrong, hear me out for just 90 seconds. So potentially this went out to other people who are not on the main list, because this definitely wouldn't be an objection if it's only from Dan and Russell's list. Because what I'm about to hand you is the same system that Russell Brunson studied before he built ClickFunnels, because before he built the software, he learned how to sell from me. Same one that pulled a near bankrupt landscaper off the ledge and turned him into a $5 million a year speaker. The same approach that helped a cigar shop scale past 100K per month and a Medicare business go from 50K a year, working 100 plus hours a week, to 500K on less than 10 hours a week. Same system I've used quietly and profitably for over 40 years, while every new marketing guru came and went like a one-hit wonder. I'm not going to insult your intelligence by pretending this is new or cutting edge or powered by some magic AI magic you've never heard of, which is funny because one of the bonuses is AI. This is old, proven, boring even. And that's exactly why it still works when everything else falls apart. Here's what's actually happening to you right now and why you feel you're going insane. So we'll stop there. Just this top section here. What are your guys' thoughts and feelings? Would this motivate you to buy this offer? Yeses or nos in chat. All right, you guys are saying yes. Why are you saying yes? What about this would motivate you to buy? Appeals to a notion of what? The question was, would you be motivated to buy? Just let a few answers come in, and then I will say what I think. You turned the old thing into a good thing, that it's proven. That is a good reframe, yeah, for sure. Implies that there's still stuff that you don't know. True. So for me, if one of my copywriters gave me this, or what I might know could be wrong, the only reason I'd buy is because of the people selling it, but based on the headline, it says nothing that I care about. Cool. So we're in the same boat. Me and Yusuf feel the same way. If I land on this page, I already know who Russell is, I already know who Dan is, and if I clicked this to begin with, it was purely because I wanted to know what the offer was. Right? If I see this, to me, it's compelling enough to get me to scroll down. But then I get to here. And for one, this line right here, it's a big L, because if I landed on this page, I know who you are, Dan Kennedy, right? Like the message was, come get Dan Kennedy's stuff. It's the only reason I'm motivated to come do this. So you're already showing me that you don't understand me. And then here, there's no justification as to why I should believe that I've been lied to and what it's costing me, right? Like, why would I believe that? He doesn't mention, and this obviously is not Dan Kennedy who wrote this, because if he did, it would be better. Um, like, why would I believe this if you don't link it back to something that's actually happening? I have a promo that I'll show you guys where I did very much the same thing. It was actually not just me, it was me and an old friend of mine who he doesn't hang out in here anymore, but his name is James. And I think that this promo was in 2021, maybe? Either end of 2020 or end of 2021. It might have been 2020. So here it is. And Sean was involved with this as well. He was helping us, so this was not purely me or purely James. This was like me plus James plus Sean. James was the main person writing copy on this, though. So I will not take credit for writing it. This is right after COVID starts. So let me be real with you. We're in month 8 of a global crisis, a crisis that has completely flipped the table on how people are making money in the world. Strategies used last year to sell online offers, they're dead, not paused, not waiting for a comeback, or holding out for some hero to fix this mess. I mean, dead, victims of the new normal, which means most sales training you received before March 1st, 2020 is now irrelevant. See, it's literally the same, whoops, literally the same as this, but we're anchoring it in a reason why, right? If I tell you everything you know is wrong, and then you say why, and there's nothing to explain it, then why would you believe me? Versus here, if I say everything you know is wrong because literally the world stopped and everything has changed, including this, so there's literally no way for you to physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, there's no way for you to come close to the way that things used to be. So you definitely need to learn a new way, right? So this, good example of that. This, bad example of that. What pains me is the copywriter who wrote this will put this in his portfolio and make a huge case study about it because he'll make a shit ton of money, potentially. And I can tell you, based on the work that we're doing with ClickFunnels, that just because you have a big brand does not mean you make a lot of money. ClickFunnels is dying right now, and they're struggling really hard. So the key is justification whenever you try to make a belief shift correct. If you're trying to get me to believe anything, the most basic version of the rhetorical framework is OCPB: objection, claim, proof, benefit. Joe Schriefer, I think his is OCPPPB. where it's objection, claim, promise, proof, proof two benefit. I haven't read his book enough to know exactly what the difference is between both of the proofs and like what the flow of the structure is, but if you guys want to check that out, it's called The Secret Copyboarding Technique or The Secret of Copyboarding or something like that. And the author, Joe Schriefer, Schriefer. So whether you're going to do OCPPPB or OCPB, whatever, same thing. But the idea is that any good rhetorical structure in your copy, the persuasion is going to come from addressing an objection, making a claim to counter that objection, presenting proof to overcome that objection and support the claim, and then recapping with a benefit. So if I say everything you thought you knew was wrong, then your objection is going to be why? And then I'll say because the world is changing. And then you'll say why? And I'll say, well, everything's shut down. You can't do face-to-face sales anymore. You're selling online. People have a lot more time. People have a lot more money. There are all of these different things I can point to, whatever. And however, I'm going to present that proof and then recap and a benefit and just restate the whole thing so that I reinforce that you should believe it and be like, so because the world's changed and because there's this new way of selling, then if you master this new way of selling, you are going to make a ton of money selling your stuff. So that's the most basic version of that framework. Here you can see what are the objections that we're coming into. You're a business owner who's tired of being lied to. I'm like, who's lying to me? What are they lying about? Most of what you've been told about marketing in the last 5 years is misleading and expensive. So that's a claim, right? Here, this is a claim. Not incomplete, not partially wrong, misleading. So here he's still going with the claim. Before you click away, then this is a completely different objection. This is a proof point, but it doesn't relate to any of these objections, right? What does this prove? Russell studied my stuff before he built ClickFunnels, and then he learned to sell from me. So this would be good proof if I was like, hey, I have this system that really, really works. I promise. Look, Russell used it. And I'd be like, oh, yeah, okay, cool. So that's proof that the system works. But if I say, you're being lied to, Russell used my system to make a bunch of money, that doesn't prove that I'm being lied to. Or if you say, I'm the expert, I promise, Russell Brunson learned my stuff, yes, that's a proof point for that, right? But by that point, you still haven't answered this. So here you're making a new claim, or there's an objection there, right? But you're not making any claims here. You're doing, or you're applying proof here. So you skip the claim completely. And then you got some more proof here. This isn't a benefit. This is just a new statement. And none of this does anything to back up this objection or this objection, which I guess it really only overcomes this, like, who's this guy? Because we're not really addressing what I'm doing wrong, right? So there's a lot of stuff missing in here that in the lead, there's a big claim. There's proof of a system that exists and it works, apparently. But then what else? And then on top of that, here we've got these three proof points, which if I'm following magnetic marketing, for sure, I could be a local business owner who's got a landscaping business or who's got a cigar shop. And then this isn't really a strong proof point. Like, this doesn't actually tell me anything. So here, all he's calling out is this local service provider and this local brick and mortar guy. If I'm not either of those, then that doesn't really resonate with me. This, Russell, I know Russell's an info guy. I know Russell's a software guy. Here he just mentions the software. So maybe if I'm a 9-figure software entrepreneur, this appeals to me. But like, there's no reason why me, Jonathan, a copywriter marketer for an info business, should pay attention to this. Unless if I know who Dan Kennedy is and I already want what he's trying to sell me and I just want to see what the price and the features are. And if that's the case, And literally, when I landed on this page earlier, when I clicked on the link, I skipped all of this. I read the lead and I'm like, okay, this is garbage. Skip, 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 skip. I just wanted to see what it is. And then I'm like, okay, cool. So I get a box. I get AI. I get master classes. I get super conference recordings. I get info summit recordings. I get funnel hacking live recordings. I get super conference recordings, all with fake prices. And then I'm like, do I really want that? So I read a little bit more about exactly what this is. I'm like, okay, cool, another AI. Wow. This, I've already seen a lot of these and I already have a lot of them. So it's like, whatever. This, I've already seen a lot of them. This, I've probably already seen some of this content. I don't know exactly what is in the Info Summit recordings. This, I don't really care about Funnel Hacking Live because it's not a great event, in my opinion. So I go through all this. I'm like, I don't really care and I don't really want any of this. And then I look at this and I'm like, okay, this guy's info, this guy's brick and mortar. I have no idea what this guy does. This guy's an agency owner. This guy's brick and mortar. This guy's brick and mortar. So none of these people are like me. So I keep scrolling and I get to the end and I'm like, oh, okay. So either I am not the target audience or this copywriter did a really poor job. And based on what I know about Dan Kennedy's business, his target audience a lot of times is people who buy a lot of marketing info products, whether they're brick and mortar or info people or whatever, right? Like Dan Kennedy speaks to a huge variety of people. But here, he's only speaking, or the copywriter is only speaking to brick and mortar owners in this top part. So that's the only people who would stick. And they'd only stick if they were low sophistication, because here this is like random garbage copy. So I don't believe that there's anything that's going to come out of this other than the people who really, really just want everything that Dan Kennedy ever sells. They'll buy it. But even then, those people will already have a lot of this stuff. Right? Like me, I've already seen a lot of these assets. I forget what it's called, whatever Dan Kennedy's Magnetic Marketing membership is. I used to have access to that. So I went through a lot of the stuff. And the UI, like, it's a very, very poorly designed platform. And I hated it for a lot of reasons, but one of the big reasons was just how hard it was for me to use it. So I opted out within like 20 or 30 days or something. I just canceled it. But I still was able to go through a lot of the content. So I've already seen a lot of this. I already know that I don't want any kind of continuity from these guys. I already know that I don't want another AI powered whatever, whatever. At this point, is there anybody who's still buying AI powered whatever? Yeah, for sure. But have people already found one that they like? Because I know that Dan Henry's selling his. I think Peng Joon has his own. Frank Kern has Ojoy. John Benson has Benson. Like, there are a lot of these. Rich Sheffrin, I think, has some AI stuff. So a lot of the people who are exposed to info products marketing space have already heard a ton of pitches for AI offers. And they've probably already chosen and tested a lot of them and chosen the one that they want. Right? So is this another AI marketing thing that I'm going to test and pay? I think it's $9.97 for this offer, or whatever it is. Am I going to pay $9.97 just to try this out? I would say probably not. Like Jonathan, I would not for sure. But being empathetic and putting myself in someone else's shoes, would they do that? Probably not. So I imagine the conversion rate on this page will be very low. I don't think anybody reads the copy. I can promise you that most people won't, for sure. Like, that's just, we know that. But I can promise you that I'm that type of buyer as well. When um, what's his name? Brown. When Todd Brown was selling an offer that he had for. Let me just find it for you guys. So this one, the Decade Plus swipe file. Here he was selling just a massive swipe file, a bunch of physical copies of sales letters that he had put into binders. So the offer is just buy these books, basically. And I can't remember how much it was, either 1,000 or 1,500 or something, but we'll see. Um, okay, 1,250. So when I saw this offer, it was actually Luke, formerly of the CC, who posted about it in 2022 in October. He posted it in the Circle chat. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, I want this. So I just scrolled all the way to the bottom, put in my info, and I bought it. There was no convincing whatsoever to be done. And a lot of people, like Yusuf said, will do that just because it's Dan Kennedy, just because it's Russell, whatever. But anybody who's not already being edged and just has their credit card in their hand, I don't think that many of them will buy, because this is not a very good copy and this is not extremely persuasive. Does that make sense to everyone? Yes. Hope you got a good kick out of these swipes. Oh yeah, they're actually right on my bookshelf right down there. And yes, edged is the technical marketing term. Dan Kennedy fans might buy, but like I was saying, if you're a true Dan Kennedy fan, you already have seen a lot of this. So even then, I don't know. Would you call the people that would scroll down to the bottom and buy right away? I would call them extremely high intent. And yes, you do get better at marketing by edging, because you channel the testosterone into your brain. A lot of people don't know this. Semen production and testosterone production, when it occurs, but there's no ejaculation or no escape, like no exit for it, it actually goes into your bloodstream. Where does your blood go? Into your heart. Heart pumps. Where does the blood go after that? Into your head. So if you got cum brain, then you become infinitely more powerful, and that's why edging makes you a better marketer. If we are done looking at this, then there's something else I wanted to show you guys as well. You'll give me just 2 seconds. Oh, actually, dropped the link over here. Boom, cool. All right, so I just wanted to show you guys real quick. If you haven't seen this yet, then go into the community resources, and this is one of the last, maybe it is the last post. Yeah, it's the last post. So this is the Creative Concepts swipe file that I put together for myself and for you guys. When I say for you guys, I mean mostly for, um, actually, there are 2 or 3 people who I had in mind, but there are some people who have very high demand creative positions now, like 2 or 3 different people who've been asking me about this kind of stuff. So I wanted to put this together to help those guys out, but then also for myself and for all of you. So if you haven't seen this, go to community resources. No need to scroll, just right there, first one. There's a drive link. And I've labeled these all by the type of the creative concept. So in my mind, these are the main creative concepts that you can use in info. In ecom, there might be a few more that don't apply here or that translate But this is what is most useful for info, in my opinion. So we got B-roll, long and short. We got case studies. We've got day in the life. We've got event clips. We've got green screen. We've got on location, podcast interviews, product demos, read the caption, skits, social media comment, street interview, talking head, car interview, studio, highlight reel. Or sorry, that's a testimonial. So a bunch of different testimonials. UGC, viral content, meme, walk and talk, and whiteboard. So I'll walk you guys through each of these. B-roll long. You'll see this a lot in health offers and more ClickBank style stuff. I've never really seen this um, for guru focused brands because usually they can just have the guru do it. This one is not a ClickBank offer, but this is not a guru focused brand either. This is for a service where they just plug a VA into your business essentially. You can see this is all B-roll, just a voiceover, and I don't know if it's the real woman's voice or if it's an AI voice. No photos of her, no videos of her, just captions, voiceover, and B-roll. An alternative version of that is short with B-roll only. And here you can see it's just B-roll with a caption on top. That's it. Super short video. There's an engagement hack, if you will, with meta ads. If you're going to do something like this, you want to do motion graphics, like anything that lends itself to a really short form piece of content. If you can make the video maybe like 3, 5, 7, 10, whatever, like very short, that number of seconds long, if you can do that, then Meta is going to auto loop the video. And if a person stays on that video and it auto loops a bunch of times, every time it auto loops, the algorithm sees it as one play, right? So if Jonathan sits here and let's say this is only 5 seconds instead of 21. So let's say I watch it and it's like 1, 2, 3. I'm trying to read what the caption says. Actually, let's just say 3 seconds. So I'm trying to read what the caption says. What your Tuesday looks like because you hired a team of experts that allowed you to turn off $60,000 a month in ad spend and are now generating organic content for your business that has gotten over 1 million views and outperforming any ad you could have ever made with an agency. So that now has looped like 5, 6, 7, whatever times. And I'm a slow reader, so maybe less for you guys. But Meta then sees that as a lot of engagement. Yeah, B-roll is just stock footage. So Meta sees this as a lot of engagement, and it's like, oh, people really like this ad because they're engaging with it a lot. People are watching this like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, 100 times. This is crazy. Show this ad to more people, bring the CPMs down, spread it as much as you possibly can. So that's a strategy, and there's different formatting for this. These ones are all the same. Then you can see this one is more like a static ad where you'll have call out, claim, bullets, and then this next one I think is the same. Yeah, just 9 by 16 instead of 1 by 1, or maybe this is 4 by 5. But that's short B-roll. Case studies, then a few different styles to do that. But case study, you can have it be photo, or sorry, not photo, but video over top of a doc. Very, very simple. Just, hey, this is this guy. This is what he was doing wrong. Some proof. This is what we did to change the stuff that he was doing wrong that you could do also to get these results. CTA. That's what these 3 are. Just a little bit different in terms of the style. And then here we have Day in the Life. This is my girl Britt from Dow James. They spend roughly $33,000. It fluctuates, but about $1 million a month on ads. Their highest month, I can't remember how much. It was just a little bit above 1 million. Their lowest month, obviously, they crashed. That's why they came to work with the agency. But their lowest recent month was probably between like 5 and 800,000. So these guys are spending a lot of money on ads. And is it smart to create a static ad as a 3-second video instead? A 3-second looping what though? Like there's no motion. Will these ads work on another platform like LinkedIn? I have no idea. You'd have to check. But this one, Day in the Life, just overarching idea of this concept is me doing a thing that I'm doing anyway, and then you're just a part of that. This ad is working really, really well for Dow James right now. It's a story-based ad that's essentially like my life as a millionaire. This is what it really looks like. I'm humble. I live in a little house. Me and my family drive old cars. We're just hanging out. We have a good life. And then you need to learn these money habits. Come to the webinar. Then we have event clips. So these ones you'll see pretty self-explanatory, just a hook based around some important thing that you said at the event. And then it links it over to the CTA, whatever the CTA is going to be. So this implied authority of the person on the stage speaking, and you can see that same thing here with Russell. This one's a little bit different because it's using captions to emphasize the points a little bit more. And then this one, direct caption breaks between his delivery. So here there's no speaking, and then he speaks, and then break caption, break caption, break caption. So just different ways to do the event clip style. If you have that implied authority, it could work really well. Here, Cole Gordon doing something similar. This is just a full clip of Cole speaking all the way until the end. Right here, where then he transitions to the CTA. This is just a hype reel, so this one is promoting an event and not just using the event footage. This the Man in the Arena event is like a alpha Chad bro, like come and be with a bunch of dudes and let's talk about why men are providers and whatever, like that kind of garbage. So Garrett J. White, and then a bunch of other guys who are like that. I thought that this was a really good example of using the identity people who are watching as a motivator for them to join. And when you're doing a hype reel, that's really all it is just hype, right? Most of the time when you're getting a request to do something like this, you have no information about the event, you have no information about who's going to be there. So you just kind of have to go with bland generic copy and really reinforce the identity of it. And there's not much else that you can do, like you can't do fascinations or whatever, because you have no idea what's actually going to happen. So that's what a hype reel is. Green screen, very normal TikTok, Instagram Reels kind of format. Person speaking over something, different ways to do it. Here you can see Bro is just talking about cars because this is an offer for BizOp. For uh, I, the way I understand it is you buy an exotic car and you rent it out, and you make money on the spread, right, between what your payment is and the amount of money you're making from renting. So that's what this offer is, and that's why I sell all these cars. Then you've got something more like this, which is like a kind of like a demo. Here it's voiceover and then like a product demo style, but it starts with a green screen hook. And then this is pure green screen. I like this one because it plays into current events. This is social media content, not an ad. From I don't know how to pronounce her name. I think it's Vivian Tu, Tu, but she is a financial influencer, and so she's just talking about something that's happening in the world, and she's got herself overlaid on top of these news articles. Then this on location, very simple concept. You guys all understand this. On location just means person is speaking somewhere, and it's not like sitting in their office. So here, this guy, he's another financial influencer. I forget what his name is, Mark Tilburg or something like that. But um, you can do this basically with any kind of script, with any kind of lead. It doesn't matter. It'll work no matter what because it's just the idea of someone being somewhere presenting. Here, podcast interview. This is Ezra Firestone, I believe is his last name, of Smart Marketer fame. So he's just an ecom guy, a really smart guy. And here's a normal kind of podcast style interview that he's doing, two people just talking back and forth. Another way you can do that is more like Diary of a CEO. Here, they've got really good editing and really good structure for this intro. This is one of his most viewed videos. So that's what I'm trying to demonstrate here is just like the possible editing style that you can use if you're going to go into a hook. Here, this is like a podcast hot seat where basically this guy, Caleb Hammer, what he does is he brings people onto his show and he roasts them about their poor financial decisions. So this is more of a controversy kind of podcast interview that you can use as a concept. And this one is our most successful ad right now with Dr. Mike. It's getting cost per call that's really fantastic. And I think it's because it does open with a controversy. And it's like, Dr. Diamonds, people are saying that you're a hater for saying all these things that you say. Why do you say these things? And then he goes into his pitch, basically. So this is how we're doing it for our ads. And then this one is only this guy. We never see the interviewer. This guy, I think his name is pronounced Illis, maybe, but Daniel Illis, who he has a brand that does content marketing and stuff. So on this one, you can see it's only him, and we hear the other person. I don't know if it's a voiceover, I don't know if it's AI, I don't know if the person's actually there, but this to demonstrate that you don't need two people to do the podcast interview style. And here, this is ecom, so I'll just skip over that. This is product demo for info. This brand is called Performance Golf. They're one of the biggest direct response brands just in the world, period. I'm pretty sure they are the biggest golf direct response brand. So here, the idea is like you're swinging wrong, and the product demo part of it is look what happens if you swing right. Here, this guy, Simone Ferretti, I think is his name. And his product demo is he sells like a studio, like how to set up your YouTube and content in whatever studio. So the product demo is him showcasing that setup. Same thing. I think this is from the same one. Yeah. So you'll see here it's just like, oops, a different variation on that same hook, where here he looks horrible, and then he'll show you what it looks like when he's in a good studio. Here, then we go into, this is like a 30-minute breakdown of the guy's process. So he just walks you through what his exact funnel is, which is cool. It's on a, I don't know if this is Miro or something, but it's just on a board with a flow chart, and he's like, here's everything that I do. So this is authority through demonstration. This from Cole Gordon, something similar, where he talks about the templates and he just walks you through basically like a PowerPoint presentation of these funnels and how they work. Here, also from Cole Gordon, same kind of thing, just a little bit simpler, where she's basically, and I don't know if she's AI or not, but she goes through basically like a sales letter. And then there's one more example of that, but with the actual sales page. And then inside of the school community. Next, we've got read the caption, which is the persuasion is done in the primary text of the ad. The only point of the video is to hook people and get them to click on read more or see more, or whatever it is, to go through the ad copy. So this one, again, my girl Britt Janes, 5 steps to build wealth if you're starting from scratch. And this is actually one of the top performing ads as well in the account. So people see this, they click on the text and they scroll down, and this is only 8 seconds long, so it will loop, and people will watch it over and over again. So the platform or the algorithm sees that there's engagement and it pushes it out at a lower CPM. Your same kind of thing. This is social media content. This isn't an ad. This is another financial girl. But I thought this was really clever. Tell me the worst advice your boomer family members ever gave you about investing and saving money. And then in the caption, if I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, it goes with, or it starts with, I'll go first, and then she details her stuff. Evan always talks about performance golf, RIP. Isn't that too vague, the ad with the girl in red? This one? Too vague in what way? But too vague in what way? There's a very clear promise. If I read the ad, I will learn 5 steps to build wealth if I'm starting from scratch. And I promise you that this ad has made a lot of money. So it does make a promise. The promise is that I will build wealth even if I'm starting from scratch. And the single audience is woman who is trying to escape debt and invest her money in a smart way. Tell me your worst. Is that an engagement post or a paid ad? Yeah, this is a post, but my thinking is if this works as well as it does, then something like this will probably work as well. And if you get a ton of comments on an ad, it also increases engagement, lowers CPM, um, all that good stuff. Here, we won't go through these. These are skits. So I've got this one. I can't remember what the company is. This one from who plays both characters, and it's funny because he's an old man. Haha, you can't believe it. He's playing a teenager. And then I've got 4 or 5 from, if you guys don't know, the Harmon brothers. They're really great advertisers. They do a lot of comedy stuff. They've worked with ClickFunnels and a lot of other people. But one of my favorite things, this is my favorite ad of theirs. One of my favorite things about their ads is that they are really good at doing product demonstrations. And here, this is for tape that works really well and holds stuff together really well. So you'll see uh, a little bit after this. Here, we'll see a product demonstration of just how strong this tape is, right? So give it a little bit. Like, oh wow, he can break a cinder block. Yeah, for sure. But wait, they do an even better demonstration. He's going to build a roll cage, right? So roll cage built out of tubes using just this tape, and the car is going to stay intact after it finishes rolling down the hill. Right? Like, talk about extreme product demonstrations. It does not get crazier than that. Yes, just like the flex tape guy. Yeah, we're analyzing ads. The guy who wrote the Old Spice Terry Crews ads is actually in the server. So there you go. Out to Jared. This other concept is the reply to a social media comment, which is a very normal social media style. But this brand does it really, really well. It's for a screen protector for your phone. And most of his ads go like he's just got a bunch of screen protectors laid out on the table. He smashes them, and then he gets to his, and it doesn't smash, and he's like, "See, mine's better." And then someone challenges him, right? Like that's what this comment is. Why don't you try hammering it on an actual phone? So he's got his screen protector, and then he's got all of these other screen protectors on these other phones. You can see here he ruins this protector number 1. Here he ruins protector number 2. Here he ruins protector number 3. And he's going to peel it off. No, I guess not. Give it a sec. I imagine that this one is his brand. So you see how easy it is. You just put your phone in, you lay it down, it's going to put it off, no bubbles. Or I guess here, whatever this powder is. He's going to pull it off, no bubbles. Spreading, easy. Why are there LinkedIn ad swipes as much as Facebook? There is a LinkedIn ad library. You just need to know what you're looking for. And then there we go. Look, it's waterproof. Wow. Look, it's scratch resistant. Wow. Right, so just product demo. The same way as Green Screen 2 started with a product demo, but or started with a green screen but then shifted to a product demo. This is just starting with a social media reply and then going into the product demo. So you can see this guy just took a hatchet to his phone. And there's no reason you wouldn't believe at this point that the screen protector works. We're not at the reviewing copy part yet, so RIP. And then this is our boy Jeff Nippard replying to this comment. You dedicated a whole year to this program? And the narrative is essentially, I spent the last 365 days doing just this, and it's given me the most gains out of everything I've ever done. Here, another one from Jeff. Can you really build muscle with just 45 minutes of working out? And it's for the same offer, I think. This one's just structured a little differently. Like you can see the Q&A stays on here the whole time. Street interview. I'm sure we've all seen content like this. Excuse me, sir, what do you do for a living? How old were you when you made your first million? Da da da. Like that kind of stuff. So this is a format that also works well for ads, that we run some ads like this, and I know that they work, and I know other people who run ads like this that I know work as well. So this is a style that you can emulate for your ads. Here, Talking Head Car, probably the simplest format for Shelby. These were the ads that we had that worked the best. I don't know if that's still the case, but for Shelby, basically all of her ads were like this. And it's just talking while you're sitting in the car. This is another version of Talking Head, but not in the car. Now this is an interview, so person just holding up the phone, POV, asking bro. This is a really good brand to study, by the way. If you just want to go into the Facebook or Meta ad library, look these guys up. They're a meal prep company. They've got a lot of really good stuff in terms of creative, and their diversity is fantastic. The hooks that they have are really like, it's such a solid brand. So the take is just, it's an interview talking head. Here, this is studio talking head, so this is probably what you're used to seeing from most info gurus. Them sitting in front of camera, basically like me right now. If I were to record an ad, it would be this style of ad. Like that's what it would be called, just talking head in my office. Or you could call it studio. Here is a testimonial concept. This is a highlight reel. So just skipping between different people saying nice things. This is a testimonial as an interview. This is Eileen Wilder and Russell Brunson. She's just talking about how great the content is that Russell delivers, and then it's a pitch for the Selling Online Challenge. This is also a testimonial interview, but here he's got a few different people. Let me just try to find. There we go. He's got a few different people who he's interviewing throughout this. So it's not just one person, but it jumps from interview to interview. Here, this is a polished testimonial, so like just one person speaking to the camera, and they're giving their testimonial without anybody else interviewing them. John, didn't you buy one of Jeff's courses? Jeff Nippard, yeah, I have a lot of his offers. I have a lot of his stuff. Yeah, I unironically want to buy the screen protector as well. Here, testimonial over B-roll. We'll see our boy Jeff working out with testimonials going out over top of it. And there's a voiceover, I think. It's bugging out right now, but I believe that there's a voiceover over this, and it's just captions. Over Jeff. This is UGC GRWM, Get Ready With Me. This is my girl Elle, who, it's funny, Elle has done so much UGC for her clients, and every single time it slaps. Like there are so many Elle ads that have run for like health and fitness supplements, for motor vehicle accident, like insurance, lawyers, stuff like that. This one is for Dow Janes, so like financial education for women. And it's really just Elle. I don't like that Elle lies in all of her stuff, but people have different morals, so none of this is a true story of an actual like client. This is just Elle, who's the copywriter who wrote this and then recorded it. And I was actually at Elle's house in October in Miami. They live such a good life. They got a really nice house. But she's fantastic, really, really kind person, great copywriter. So this is one take on UGC, Get Ready With Me. And it's kind of like what we saw with the day in the life earlier, where it was Brit on camera just preparing a meal, right? And talking to the camera, so same kind of concept. Here, UGC point of view. This is me talking, being like, this guy's a scammer. But I looked him up, and actually, he's not a scammer. This is more of a normal UGC style, where it's a voiceover over this video. I imagine it's this woman's voice, but it's a voiceover over video of the woman and preparing her food or doing whatever she's doing. This is to promote IM8, a supplement. That's like it's a powder that you mix in with your drinks. This is also for IM8, just a different style of UGC. So this one, instead of being more like voiceover B-roll of a person, this one is like voiceover focus on a product. Here we have more UGC style stuff, where instead of it being just like product, it's girl. I don't really know how to describe it well because I guess they're all like girl and product, but I guess just different ways of presenting the same type of content. And it ends, of course, with a CTA. Hi, I am 8. Then here we have viral content meme. Here the viral format is the tier list. And this is from Cole Gordon as well. I think this guy's name is Aaron, who's in some of the ads. And I don't know what his position is the at the business. But here he's doing a tier list and he's like, these are the ways that you can get sales. C tier webinar, B tier whatever, D tier whatever, S tier the thing I'm trying to sell you. Go buy it. Walk and talk is another one. This one's kind of like talking head. It's kind of like on location where it's really just person speaking to camera, but in this case there's movement. So that's what differentiates it. Here another one, but instead of being professionally produced, this is just like shot on an iPhone, more organic style. And it could be the same thing if I was holding the iPhone up to myself. And this is my boy from Melon Money. Two guys who have that brand, George and Carter. They're both like actual financial professionals. And the concept that's working the best in two of their funnels, they've got three. They've got a call funnel, a webinar, and a challenge. The direct to call, it's more direct ads that are working, but for the challenge and for the webinar, it's more of these educational style ads that are working. So they both do it, like both George and Carter have ads of them in front of whiteboards teaching stuff. And what I really like about these is that it demonstrates a person's credibility, their authority, their teaching style, and it actually gives value through the content, and then tells you go and learn more of this stuff about this very complicated subject in whatever the offer is. So here you can see he moved into the pitch, and he's like, come to the masterclass so you can learn how to pay lower taxes, so you can learn how to invest better, so you can learn all of these advanced financial strategies. They've got another one that was one of their top performers that was like, if your CPA is not telling you about this new tax law, then your CPA is outdated and you need to learn this new tax law so that you can succeed. So that's more of an educational style. You can do the educational style in different ways, right? Like there's the whiteboard, but then there's also the event that's educational. There's the case study that's educational. There's green screen can be educational. Podcast interview can be educational. Product demo can be educational. So when we're thinking about creative diversity, and we're thinking about it on three levels with the concept, with the lead type, and then with the avatar, and you decide on whatever your concept is going to be. That's the biggest thing that Meta's looking for usually, is like different concepts. Once you have enough different concepts and you're like, okay, these three or four are the ones that work best in my account, then you move on to the lead type, try different messaging, different levels of awareness, like how direct or indirect you are. That's going to give you diversity as well, because then that necessarily forces you to write in a different style. Then there's the avatar. So who specifically are you speaking to? What beliefs? Beliefs being an encompassing term for desires, pains, objections. So what beliefs are you speaking to? What angles are you coming at from these beliefs or for these beliefs? So there's a lot of room for you to play with these things. And if you have access to data and you can look into an ad account and you can see, okay, these are the ones that consistently win. Like I know for George and Carter, it's the educational content that usually wins. So how can I take that same like idea of I'm going to teach you something and apply it to a different avatar? Well, we have entrepreneurs and we have high income professionals. So right away, that's two ads that I can do. One exactly the same for high income professionals, one exactly the same for entrepreneurs. Then I've got concepts. What concepts can I use? I can use the whiteboard concept. I can use the event concept. I can use the podcast interview concept. I can use the podcast hot seat concept. I can use the Case study concept, I can use the event clip concept. Let's just say that's it. There's six. So now I've got 6 times 2. I've got 12 new ads that I can write. I've got 6 different lead types. So now what's 12 different ads times 6? I've got 72 different ads that I can create. And then I look at all the angles that I can use or the different beliefs, right, that I can tackle. If I want to stay focused, I can do tax savings. I can do investment opportunity. I can do retire early, right? Let's say those are my 3 big desires. So now I've got 72 times 3. That's 216, 216 ads now. And I haven't even talked about the different angles. So let's say I want to do each of those 216 ads with a different hook, right? And I want to do 6 hooks for each test that I'm going to do. So that's 216 bodies with 6 hooks each. So I would have 216 ad sets, each with 6 ads in it. What are my odds of finding a few winners if I'm going to produce 216 ads? And also, how easy was it for me to come up with 216 ads? If I've got a testing budget of $10,000 per day, and I can run through, let's say, one ad set a day, because I don't know exactly what the math would be, but let's say I've got a high cost per acquisition, right? I'm doing like a call funnel or something, so I've got to account for a really high spend. So let's say I can do 10K per day, one day to validate an ad set, or say that it's not good. I've got 216 days worth of tests that I just came up with in like an hour, right? Of course, it's going to take longer to write all these, but just the ideation of it to come up with what am I going to do next? I've got almost a year's worth of ad concepts that took me no time at all to create, right? So that is how you do it systematically. Get ready with me, but my boyfriend edited it. Haha. Can you lie in an ad? You absolutely cannot lie in an ad. You should not exaggerate either because all of that is illegal. I wish people could do that with taxes. I will never want KRA on my neck. You wouldn't want IRS on yours. So, taxes or jail type shit, 10K a day. Holy fuck. Let me show you. I was just going through saving some screenshots for my portfolio earlier, since I am officially out of bad. I was saving some stuff. And at some of these big spenders. This is Dow Jones. Let's see. This is the amount of time we've been working with them. We've managed $5.8 million in ad spend for them in that time. In fact, clients, this is smaller because we just got them recently and they didn't start spending big until recently, but here 1.26 million. Melanin money they've spent since we started working with them. Just a little bit under a million, but the return on that is 7 million. So big W. Not all of that is return on ad spend. I'll just show you guys. This is a platform called Hyros. So Hyros lets you track attribution for your ad spend and see where your money's coming from. Here on the left, we can see the source. So Meta is one source, email is one source, newsletters, SMS, Facebook, I imagine that's organic, Google, right, whatever that is. But if we look at this line Meta, then it shows us our cost was 986,000 and our total revenue from Meta is 2.5 million, which comes up to a ROAS of 2.6. So this is total in their business, and then it's 2.6 directly attributed to the ad spend. Then Mind Pump, then we are not running any ads, but we're actually almost done with their Black Friday Cyber Monday promo. So if we look at just their email revenue, Black Friday Cyber Monday for Mind Pump, we generated $180,000 in email revenue. Big W. Shelby, I worked with her for 3 or 4 months. I guess I don't have a minute to figure out what did I do here. Okay, this is what is, yeah, okay, so that's the 5th month. Okay, this is six is what? January, February, March, April, May, June. January, February, March, April, May, June 1st until January, February. Yeah, August is 8. And then this one is what? It looks like just May to May. So yeah, okay, cool. So then this one, I guess, would be just the high-res screenshot of when I was working with her. Yeah, June, July, August. Cool. So this with Shelby, we spent 1 million and we made 4.7 million. And then with Superhuman, these are the biggest spending accounts. So there are a lot of smaller accounts, but these are the ones with the most money behind them. And Supra, we spent 4.8 million and we made 9.6 million. So that's the level that we're operating on. That's why I can comfortably talk about $10,000 per day in testing budget, because some of these accounts do have a ton of money going behind them. Any questions? That is some crazy money. Once you realize how much money there is that exists in the world and how willing people are to give it to you, your whole perspective on life changes. One big shift that I had this year, realizing that no matter whatever happens in the world, period, all you have to do is tell somebody you'll do something for them in exchange for money, and then the money is yours. Right? Like, that's literally all business is. As someone who's not engaged at all in business, you sometimes think it's like complicated, or like there are different expenses, payrolls, things that don't make sense to you. And then you're just like, no, it's literally just I convinced this guy to give me money for something. Now I have the money. Now I'm gonna go convince somebody else to do something for me, and I'm gonna give them money to do that. And that's it. That's just how it works. It's so easy. But it's a like once that just becomes your reality, everything changes and you're like, okay, well, money is easy, I guess. Right? And it just becomes that. How are you feeling now that you're out of bed? I feel very good, thank you. Yes, I have officially become good marketing. All right, I'll wait for Anne to finish typing just to see if it's a question. And if it's not, then we will move into copy reviews. I had a few people over the last couple of days asking me to do reviews for them. And I can't remember who. Do I own a business? Technically, yes, because technically all of the money that I make is through a sole proprietorship. I'm not an employee of anywhere, and I have not been an employee of anywhere since 2019. So I have been a business owner, like self-employed, for 6 years. Does working at an agency or in-house help you learn strategy faster? Only if you work at a good one with good people. For me, it did, because I met some really great people who taught me a lot of stuff, but most agencies are not good, period. So there won't be any learning to be done. There is something to be said about learning from people who are still not good, but at least good enough, better than you, right? Like if I go into somewhere and I've never run a call funnel before, and then I get exposed to running call funnels, now I've learned how to run call funnels, even if they're not the best, right? Like I'm sure that there are people who could do call funnels who would not be at my level, but can still make it profitable. So if you learn a concept from them, then yes, you're learning stuff. I would say that you probably have more chance to learn stuff if you're working with a direct response company in-house versus like a corporate environment, because corporate environments kind of suck. But if you're working with a proper direct response business in-house, yes, hopefully you learn a lot. And if you're working with one of the better agencies, then yeah, you'll learn a lot as well. You were like a consultant to BAD, thought you were an employee. No, I was a contractor with BAD. So I was not an employee of BAD. I was a contractor. I just had the positions that I was in as a contractor. I was getting paid through my company and not through their company. How do you identify if a company has a good team where you can learn a lot? You start working there, and you see if you're able to learn from them. There's not a way to screen it, unfortunately. Yes, everything with Bad was fully remote, but I would fly into Atlanta sometimes to go to the office. I think like 4 or 5 times. 4 to 5 times a week. Yes, I would fly to Atlanta 4 or 5 times a week to go into the Bad marketing office. Hopefully, you do get that experience. It's fun the first couple of times, but I think I've just traveled so much at this point that the idea of travel has lost its appeal to me. Now it's just like if you have to drive for the first time, you're like, wow, I got so much freedom. I get to go wherever I want. The first time you get on a flight, you're like, oh, this is so scary. Oh, wow. Oh man, I just landed somewhere. I'm in a different environment. All the trees are different. All the people are different. This is crazy. But then after you do it a ton of times, you're like, ugh, I got to get to the airport again, 3 hours early, and well, probably like just an hour and a half early because I've got no anxiety anymore. But like, oh, I've got to get to the airport early and get through traffic to get there, to go through security, and to check in all my stuff, and to sit there and eat a poke bowl. That's my go-to thing whenever I'm in an airport. I always go for a poke bowl. But to eat a poke bowl because that's what keeps it worthwhile for me. And then what do I do after that? I get on the plane, and then I sit in the plane for like 45 minutes sometimes before they take off. And then we're in the air for 3.5 hours. And then we land, and then I sit for another half hour while everyone stands up and gets out and gets their bags and whatever. And then I stand and I wait for my bag for 30 minutes, and then I get that. And then I have to drive for an hour to get to wherever I'm going, right? So it's just like, ugh. No, Yusuf, obviously not. I did not go to Atlanta 4 or 5 times a week. It's a 3.5 hour flight to Atlanta. Like, how would I couldn't do that twice in one day, even. Yeah. What are the things you regret not doing earlier in my life or in my work? Both. Kissing girls and kissing my coworkers who are girls. In my copywriting career. I am a person who has no regrets. So, oh, well, I can't regret not kissing boys earlier. I started kissing boys pretty young. So, if I would have started earlier, someone would have gone to jail. I am a man who has no regrets whatsoever. So my belief is that because I live my life in a way where I always take every opportunity that I can, and I always live in the most extreme, like ridiculous way possible, right? So there's never anything that I look back on and think to myself, I wish I would have done that instead, because I'm always doing the most extreme version of whatever I could be doing in that moment. For example, I used to sell cars in 2000, either 17 or 18. I was working in a pizzeria, and all of my life, I wanted to sell cars. As a child, my dream job was selling cars, but that dream was beaten out of me by my mother, where we were in her car one time driving, and I knew that I wanted to be a car salesman because I really, really, really enjoy talking to people. And I figured if I can talk to a lot of people all day and that's my job and I make money doing that, that would be the craziest thing in the world. That'd be so cool. So that's what I wanted to do. My mother, very judgmental and very controlling, so I never told her that because if you if you tell your mom, "Hey, I want to be a car salesman," already like any mother they're going to have a negative reaction to that, I imagine. And I had a lot of anxiety about revealing that to my mother because I thought she for sure wants me to go to college. She for sure will tell me no, right? So I never told her. But we were in the car driving down the street, stop at a stop sign, start again, and she's opening up this conversation. Like, we're almost in high school. What do you want to go study in college? What do you want to do with your life? That kind of conversation. And I build up the courage to finally tell her, well, I think I want to sell cars. and we stop at the next stop sign. She looks over and she says, "That's dumb. Pick something else." And then she looks back and we keep driving. And I'm like, "Oh, okay." So in that moment, my heart is shattered. I end up studying social work and never working really in that field after I finished school. I did work in that field while I was in school. I worked with youth at the YMCA. It was really, really fun. But social work is a very underfunded thing. So kind of burns you out. You don't get paid a lot. You work a lot of hours. And I remember my moment, my shift, my mental shift, was that I was sitting in the office at the Y, and I had two of my coworkers there. And I looked at them, and they were both looking like tired, depressed. They don't care anymore. They're like completely checked out. And I thought to myself in that moment, well, Jonathan, do you want to end up like them in like 5, 10, 15 years, whatever? Because there's no way that you beat the system. For sure, the system is going to beat you. So do you want to end up like them, or are you going to get out? So I decided to get out, and like any good college graduate, then I went on to work in restaurants. So I worked in restaurants for a bit. I became one of the top pizzaiolos on the island of Montreal. I was making Neapolitan style pizza. Really, really fun. Loved that. But then the dream resurfaced of becoming a car salesman. So what I did was I did a little bit of research, and the reason why I chose cars was because it's a high volume product, right? You can move a lot of cars. With houses, like if you're going to sell houses, very low volume comparatively. So I know that I want to do it for the volume. I know that the number one selling car in Canada is the Honda Civic, and I know that the number one dealership, or one of the top dealerships in Montreal, is Excel Honda. So I did all that research, I figured that out, and then I go onto their website, I find the HR person, I send them an email, just cold email, had no idea what that was at the time. Cover letter, had no idea that I was copywriting at the time. Send it, immediately get a reply within like 5 minutes. I'm excited, but I open the email and it's like, hey, I'm out of office. I'll reply when I get back. So, not the outcome that I wanted. But a few days later, I actually get an email from someone else named Patrick from Excel, and he said that he was actually the GM, he general manager. He was covering for the HR girl while she was out. He saw my email, he liked it, he wanted me to come in. So one day after I finished making pizzas, had a bunch of pizzas together, went to the dealership, and dealerships in Montreal, I don't know if it's like this everywhere, probably New Jersey and New York as well. The dealerships are all owned by Italians and run by Italians. So I knew that bringing pizza was the right move. Showed up, pizza, smelling like pizza, looking like a pizza guy, and roll in, and I say, hey, I'm here to see Patrick. Secretary lets me through to Patrick, put the pizzas down. He thinks it's the most hilarious thing in the world. And I speak to him. Another guy comes in, Bruno, who was the sales manager. We're all having a good time together. And then Patrick and Bruno tell me that unfortunately they just finished hiring and there's no more space for new salesmen. I laugh and kind of half joking. I say, well, why don't you fire the worst one? And they both laugh and kind of look at each other. And that's how I ended up with one of the big offices. So I worked there for a little bit. Fantastic, dream job, like have a really, really good time doing that. And then I get laid off because we're going through a recession, there's not enough business, and they're going to lay off basically everybody who was recently hired. But I was there for a few months. And when I got fired from Excel Honda, I was super sad for sure. But in that moment, I asked myself, are you going to let this be a story of how you lost your job, were sad, and went back to making pizza? Or are you going to let this be a story about how you moved up to the next best thing? So I printed out my CV, pulled it, put it in my suit pocket. Now keep in mind, all my clothes are custom, right? You always see me in my PJs and a white t-shirt. Those are obviously not custom. My socks are not custom, but my wardrobe, like every proper piece of attire that I own, all my pants, all my shirts, they're all custom made, right? So I look really good. They're all perfectly fitted. They're all exactly the patterns that I want, like the styles that I want, to the point where on my white shirts, on the cuff, I have my initials embroidered in gold, right? Like that's how extreme this is. So I'm dressed really nicely, CEO mode essentially. Like I look like money, and I leave Honda, walk out, thinking to myself, the best step up from Honda, one of the top Honda dealerships in Montreal, is the top Mercedes-Benz dealership in Montreal. That's the best step up. So I walk over and we're in the car dealership part of town. So it's just like maybe 2 or 3 minutes, maybe more like 5, walking from the Honda dealership. As I'm on my way there, pull out my phone, call the dealership, and as the secretary or receptionist, sorry, picks up, I ask her, "Hey, is John still the sales manager there?" And she's like, "Oh no, it's I forget what his name is, but we'll just say Stefan." So she's like, "Oh no, it's Stefan," and I'm like, "Oh okay, cool, thank you." Hang up the phone, put it back in my pocket, walk in, and as I'm walking in, I can see her hanging up the phone, like with me on the other side, right? So she's hanging up, and I walk up, and I'm like, "Hey, I'm here to see Stefan," and she's like, "Do you have an appointment?" And I'm like, "No, just tell him Jonathan's here." She's like, and I'm like, "Yeah, just tell him Jonathan's here, he'll get it." And she's like, "Okay." So she stands up and she goes to get Stefan in his office, and they walk out, and you can see that both of them are very confused. They have no idea who I am. They're looking back and forth, right, talking to each other. She goes back to the desk. Stefan comes up to me, puts his hand out. We shake, and he says hesitantly, "Hey, Jonathan, I'm sorry, but I don't remember where I know you from." And I laugh and I say, "That's because we've never met. I'm here to ask you for a job." He laughs. We go into his office, which was very, very, very nice for a manager's office. It was overlooking the entire showroom of the Mercedes-Benz dealership, and there was way too much stuff in there that looked like it was very, very expensive. That's when I learned that Stefan is actually not the sales manager, nor is he the general manager. He is actually the manager of the dealership group. So he's like the one who runs all of their dealerships, and he just really likes this dealership, so that's why his office is there. We get along, have a great time. He introduces me to sales manager. I end up working at Mercedes. So all of that to say that every time I get an opportunity, I just do the most extreme thing to get me to succeed, right? Like I do what it takes to seize that opportunity and to win. So I have zero regrets in anything in life because that is how I live my life. Where if I fail, then the only reason why I failed was because there was an outside force that stopped me from succeeding. There will never be a time where I will say that I did not try hard enough. So I cannot answer that question of what I wish I would have done sooner or what I wish I would have changed or anything like that, because I believe that I've always done exactly the thing I needed to do. Every decision I've made has led me to where I am now, and I'm in a very, very, very good position. I've learned a lot. I've worked very hard. I'm very, very happy with my life. Let me just scroll back up. I don't think I've missed anything. Yeah, if I missed a question, you can just drop it again. Can we see the fit? It's in my closet, so no, you can't see the fit. And you said you had a meeting with the boss when you actually didn't? No, I did not say I had a meeting with the boss. I just told the receptionist that I was there to see the boss and that I did not have an appointment. I've heard that story before, but it's so cool listening to it again. Thank you. So that is what I recommend to all of you as well. If you always do as much as you can do to succeed, then you're never going to have regrets. It's always going to be like, well, I tried hard. It just didn't work out for whatever reason. Next time I'll try hard again. If it doesn't work out, next time I'll try hard again. And then you just keep going until you get a success. And there was a mindset that I instilled in myself while I was in college. While I was in college, when I started college, I got super depressed, very antisocial on purpose because coming out of high school, I did not do very well. Had I failed one more of my classes, I would have not passed high school. And I only passed my math class with the exact passing grade. So, excuse me. So I didn't do very well. Going into college, I was like, I can't socialize. I can't focus on anything else. I just need to focus on school. So I did that for a year. And as I'm sure you can imagine, me being a very charismatic person who likes talking to people, math teacher liked me enough not to fail me and make me go back through school again. But as you can imagine from my personality, not speaking to people for a year really bummed me out and it really took me out of good mental health. So I was stuck for a long time, just feeling sad and not having a good time. But then I told myself I am going to force myself to socialize. So I had to restart from zero. I don't know if any of you have ever gone a long period of time without talking to anybody, but it takes a while to get back in the habit of speaking to people. So it took me a while. I started ramping up again, and then I got really involved in like pickup and like psychology and communication, all of those things that have to do with like speaking to people. And there's a pickup philosophy that is essentially this is from my boy Jeff Allen, one of the goats. But Jeffy would say, it doesn't matter if I get rejected 100 times because at the end of the night, I'm not going to remember any of them, like any of the rejections, right? So carrying that same mindset through just with everything else in life, if you, let's say in a copywriting context, if you apply to 100 copywriting jobs and you get rejected 99 times, but you get accepted once, you're going to remember the 99 rejections or are you going to remember the one acceptance, right? So you just apply that to literally anything you do. And if you work hard enough to maximize your chances of being accepted, it doesn't matter how many times you get rejected, because all that's going to matter on your journey forward is the times you were accepted. And you can't be accepted if you don't try, and you can't try without failing. So you necessarily need to fail in order to succeed. Is friendship a factor in your success, or did you not have anyone guiding you along your career path? That's a great question. And the 22,707 people who are in the copywriting collective are the result of my friendships. So when I started writing copy, I got to a certain place where I realized I was as good as I could get on my own because I need other people to find my blind spots and tell me about them. So I looked online, I found the subreddit our copywriting, posted something in there like, "Hey, is there a place where people go to hang out?" Sorry, one sec, my sister just texted me. She asked, "Hey, can you eat pizza?" And I replied, "Only if it's cauliflower crust with vegan cheese." Because RIP my digestive system. But I went onto the subreddit and I posted something like, "Hey, where do the copywriters hang out? Like, what's the copywriting community that I can join?" And I was immediately told off. And as you can imagine, on Reddit, not a lot of people are nice, so RIP me. But that was the reaction I got. So I was like, "Oh, okay, my bad. I'm sorry. I didn't think that you guys would react this way to that." So then I just used the search bar and I searched Discord because I know about Discord already from other things. Is homemade cauliflower crust doable? Yes, it is. I think they sell it frozen too, but maybe only at specialty health places. So I search in the copywriting subreddit for the keyword Discord because I already know what Discord is. I already know that there are Discord communities. So search that, find one Discord link from a guy called Mike, RP Mike, and I join, and there were like six active people, right? So it's like Mike, Josh, Alex. I forget who else. There were two or three others, but very few people. So I'm like, okay, well, this kind of sucks. It's fun, it's cool because we were all friends, and it was like a little community. I would do kind of like an office hours where we all just hung out at the time on my little Chromebook that could barely run with a Zoom call going at the same time as a PowerPoint. So it was cool and very fond memories of those days in the copywriting collective. But only a few hundred members, only a handful of active members. And my thinking was if I can help grow the copywriting collective, let's say I get 100 people to join, 10 of them will be good, one of them will be great, and that's how I'm going to network. So I made it my mission to grow the copywriting collective as much as possible. That's why the Copywriting Collective, or that's one of the big reasons why the Copywriting Collective is as big as it is today, because I undertook that mission for myself. I would go on Reddit, I'd reply to people's questions, and I'd be like, and by the way, we have a Discord server. Eventually Sean joins, eventually Jared, the like our copywriting friend who did the Old Spice ads, he joined. Lori, who you guys probably don't know because she hasn't been around in a while, but Lori joined. Charlene, Rozzy, like all of these really great, really high level people eventually come in. I don't know if you know, we've also got Gary Halbert's son in here. Bond Halbert is in the Copywriting Collective. Like, there are a lot of big names. Sean Vossler, like a lot of people have come through in the Copywriting Collective who are good copywriters or like high, like famous, if you want to say, copywriters. A lot of people. And I've said for a really long time, one of the big reasons why I'm as good as I am, for sure, it's because I work hard, but it's also because I was given a lot of opportunity by people like Sean, who made time to teach me, and who made time to connect me to other people, and who made time to just like hang out and help me with my life choices and things like that. So a lot of really great opportunity has come my way thanks to the Copywriting Collective. Even my job with Bad, that I only got because Warren sent me the post. The story of that is that Warren saw something in the, I can't remember which group it was. It might have been Nothing Held Back job board, but a guy, Seth, posted in there and he's like, hey, we're looking for a strategist. Here's all the stuff about that. Warren forwards me that and he's like, hey, I think you'd be a good fit for this. I wasn't even in the Facebook group, so I click it. I'm not in the group. I'm like, okay, whatever. My bad, Warren. I'm not in the group. It's whatever. Warren, being the goat that he is, he copies the post, pastes it into a Word doc, and then sends it to me. And so I see that. I'm like, oh, that's really cool. There were a few names that I recognized on there. One of them is Roland Fraser, as like the clients we've worked with. So I was like, oh, that's awesome. I know Roland Fraser. That must be a really good agency then. I send my application into Seth. Seth really likes it. Seth gets me hired. There was a whole application process, but Seth gets me hired. I work with Bad now for 2 years and a little bit. Today is officially my last day, so RIP. But that's how I got this job that I've got right now. And then through Bad, I met a guy, Marius, who was a media buyer who I'm really close with. And Marius sends me work all the time. I reject all of it because I'm too busy, but I only work with my Amazon consulting client because of Marius connecting us. I only work with Dr. Mike because of Marius connecting us, right? So all of the things that I have are 100% due to my network. If I wasn't lucky enough to have the network that I have, I would not have the opportunities that I have. So I believe that the answer to the question, let me just see what the original question was. Is friendship a factor in your success? 100%. Network plus having people who are willing to help you and teach you. Those are the biggest factors to my success, I would say. Any other questions? I will wait for Aaron to drop his question. I guess a few people, if there are any questions. And then after we can do a little bit of copy review, and then we will call it a day. And for anyone who is wondering, once I get back from Texas in mid or end of January, then Damien and I are going to start working on content stuff. So there will be new books, there will be new YouTube content, there's going to be a lot of new stuff coming your guys' way. And I'll let you know what is happening as we roll that out. What do you think of Stefan Georgi as a copywriter? I've never met him, but no, the newsletter will never come back. I don't want to commit to that. I do know people who know him. I don't like him for two reasons. Again, never personal, just based on his marketing of himself. Number one, during COVID, he was a COVID denier. So I'm like, really? Like, that's just an L take, period. So Stefan Georgi, COVID denier, L. I don't like him also because he was, and probably still is, pushing AI really hard. And anyone who's like an AI shill, I just don't like that. I would say Frank Kern does it in an appropriate way with his software, but people who are like, AI is replacing everything, you have to buy my stuff. It's like, screw you, I don't care. So those are the two reasons why I don't like him. Again, just his marketing of himself. I don't know him personally. Uh, I have had conversations with people who have worked with him who have said that the stuff that he delivered to them was very low effort and did not work. So I don't have a good impression of Stefan. Did you build that Lego piece behind you yourself? This one, I built it with Gabriella, who you guys probably don't know, but she used to be in here. She came up a few years ago, so we built that together. This one I built by myself. It actually, for Secret Santa, I think 2 years ago, we do a Secret Santa in the Copywriting Collective in the Circle. Not last year because I was gone and I'm the one who organizes it. This year I also won't do it, but for a few years we did Secret Santa. So the head is the like Lego box set part of it. Like I got the head for Secret Santa. And then the body is actually, I didn't know that this existed until I bought the Millennium Falcon, but there are Lego communities online where people do custom blueprints for Legos, and then you can order the pieces to do the custom builds. So the whole torso of Darth Vader is a custom thing, and I built that. I think like last year or like really early this year. I've got a question about dating coaches. How do I identify genuine dating coaches for outreach? I would just go into Perplexity and then find a few, and then you can go onto Instagram and then find profiles like this one, or just do like a keyword search and do. I don't know if this would work. Let's see. Site colon Instagram.com quote dating coach. There you fucking go. I have his course, and yeah, he's doing everything with AI. Yeah, I like the RMBC. I know that he did RMBC with AI now, but the original version of the RMBC, I think that it's really goated and it's got a lot of good content. Perplexity smokes ZA sometimes. I don't know what that means. Yeah, so this is how I would identify that, and then just go through all of these. How many results do we have? We get a lot of results, it seems. And then this becomes your outreach list. And then you could also do it on YouTube, I imagine. Um, TikTok, maybe. Let's see. Yeah. So boom, done. Let's see, TikTok thing. Here we go. Bro, this guy is 30. He wouldn't know what za is. He's mega unk. For real. He told me a PT won an award. He never did. It told me a PT. PT being personal trainer, physical therapist. Oh no, so you see what confused me was when he wrote za with a capital Z. That is why I didn't understand that he was saying marijuana. Because it seemed like it was supposed to be Z with an S afterwards, and it was maybe a typo, because why else would it be capitalized? So that was my confusion. Fuck you guys for not using proper punctuation and capitalization. That's on you, not on me. But yeah, you've got to, when you use Perplexity, you've got to, or any LLM, you just got to be very specific about your input. Otherwise, it's going to hallucinate and give you bad outputs. So just be smart about the way you use it. Did anybody have any copy that they wanted me to critique? Or are we good? Yeah, I thought so. So drop it. There we go. Cool. We'll copy this. Just one script. Script. Directions. Cool. I like this layout a lot. So let's see the context. Men 40 plus who suffer from foot pain / plantar fasciitis / heel pain. Solution aware. This is why most orthopedic shoes suck. Would you believe me if I told you I was on the stream 2 days ago when I watched Sean, Alex, and Rod review this? So, this brand, in chat, I said it was pronounced Virgin. So, virgin.co. I'll just go onto the website so that everyone has full context. No, I will not review your copy. Boom. There you go. So for everyone to have full context, these are just like I don't know if comfort shoes, medical shoes, like orthopedic. I don't know what the proper way to describe these is, but they're shoes for people to have an easier time walking. Concept comparison to competitors. A Nike shoe slash on cloud shoe on a circular. So literally Sean's suggestion. Circular saw comes down to cut the shoe in half, and the whole hook of it is just this is the real reason why your shoes are hurting your feet. Then it cuts to a person opening up a split down the middle. That actually demonstrates the problems on the interior of the shoe, focusing specifically on the pain the target audience has with certain shoes, which is what they dig into, or which is that they dig into the inflamed area of the foot. This is why most orthopedic shoes suck and actually make the pain worse. Most orthopedic or pain relief shoes don't adapt to your foot's shape. And what ends up happening is that the sole of the shoe. Okay, so here you're making a claim, and you are not showing me why this is true. So that is my first piece of feedback. You just tell me, trust me, bro. Then you move on to a different point. And what ends up happening is that the sole of the shoe actually starts poking the inflamed area of your plantar fascia every time you walk. So what you could do on screen is if you have some kind of demonstration of, I don't know if it would be like motion graphics or like how you would want to present it, but some kind of presentation that shows me this part of the shoe and then the walk and then my foot having to, maybe it's like you see the musculature and the bones having to shift every time there's a step that's taken, and then whatever this part of the shoe is poking into that. Like if you had that demonstration, it would make a lot more sense because then you've, yes, OCPB, exactly. Then you've provided proof to the claim that you're making right now, causing that sharp stabbing pain in your foot to get worse. And that's where these new version shoes come in. They are podiatrist approved for plantar fasciitis. They have already helped over 1,400 people alleviate their foot pain, and unlike most other shoes, they use a new smart step technology to instantly adapt to the exact shape of your foot, eliminating the pressure of your plantar fascia. And this isn't just another shoe you'll end up wasting your money on because they come with a 90-day money-back guarantee, so you can try them risk-free. On top of that, they're also machine washable and stain resistant, so if you know how to use a washing machine, then you can keep them looking new. They only cost half the price of normal orthopedic shoes. You can get them in 4 colors: white, beige, full black, and white black, and in 6 different sizes ranging from 5 to 10. Click now, secure your Virgin pain relief shoes. Right. So this, the opening, I think if you add in the demonstration that I was talking about, that's good. This is where I think it starts to drop off. So can anyone identify in these blocks where the narrative starts to fall apart? I'll give you 2 seconds to think while I get some water. So to me, if we look at the narrative, we've got here we're starting with a big pain point. So you've wasted money on other orthopedic shoes. You're not getting the results that you want. We go down here, this is proof that these other shoes are a waste of money. But then these new shoes start to overcome the problem that you're having and they give you the results that you want. So here, this is not a bad transition. This is not a bad proof point. This is not a bad proof point. It's not bad that you're comparing against competitors. This is a good demonstration, like proof of this that you're doing here. Then this is where it starts to get a little bit weird because you called out the competitors here, but then you're waiting until this here to go to, like, you come back to the competitor comparison. That in terms of the narrative kind of feels weird. Because if I'm speaking to you, let's say I'm trying to sell you a hamburger, and I'm like, "Hey, my hamburgers are so much better than my competitors' hamburgers." Or actually, I'll start from a little bit earlier. I'm like, "Hey, so you know how sometimes you take a bite of a hamburger and it tastes like it's not good?" And you're like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Well, my hamburger is actually a lot better. If you look on Google, we've got 1,000 five-star reviews." You're like, "Oh, that's really cool." And I'm like, "Yeah." And the reason why we have these five-star reviews is because we're better than everybody else. You're like, that's a little bit weird. I'm like, yeah, and it's because our hamburgers are made with Canadian sirloin, 100% grade double A Angus, whatever. I don't know anything about meat. So, yeah, that's why it's better. And you're like, okay, cool. And I'm like, yeah. And also, you're not going to waste money eating this hamburger like you would on those other hamburgers. You're like, what? My points are just kind of jumping around and there's no clear flow to it. So, yes, I know what you're saying. I know that they are not multiple podiatrists approved, but this is not line edits, this is narrative edits. So, here you're jumping around. What I would recommend is if you go, before you ever write any piece of copy, if you go to a sheet of paper, or in my case, I've got a Remarkable 2, like a tablet to write on. But you go there and then you write out what your narrative is going to be, and you make sure that the flow, the logic of it makes sense. So, in my mind, the logic here that would make the most sense is other shoes suck. This is the reason why they suck. My shoe doesn't suck for that reason. And then you just stick on your own shoe, right? Because you've made your point that your shoe is better than the competitors. This is your differentiator. The other shoes suck because they all have this problem. Your shoe doesn't suck because it's the only one that doesn't have the problem, right? So you don't need to go back to your competitors. And when you're presenting a guarantee, you don't want to present it in a negative frame. Let me ask you, what sounds more powerful? If you hate my shoe, I'll give you my money back, or I'll give you your money back. In which case, now I've seeded the idea where you're like, wait, am I going to hate the shoe? Or if you're not absolutely blown away by the fact that your foot pain is gone in the next 7 days by wearing this shoe, I'll give you a 100% refund. Now you're thinking, oh, cool, within 7 days, my foot pain's going to be gone, right? So you see, I learned that from Todd Brown, actually. He's got a really good copywriting masterclass. Um, I don't remember if it's in there, actually, or if it's in his offers masterclass, but it's in one of those two. So Todd Brown, all his stuff is really, really good. I like him a lot. Or I don't know him, but I like his content a lot. Here, you're doing it in the negative frame. This is a shoe you're going to waste money on, or your money back. Or this isn't a shoe, sorry, you're going to waste your money on because I'll give you your money back if you hate it. Just flip that, put it into a positive framing instead, and that'll make this more powerful. And then all this stuff down here, if you think of a sales letter, do you make the pitch and then talk about features again? Or do you usually end on your CTA and then go into like closing strategies? Correct. Yeah. So this feels a little bit weird because you're just going back into other stuff and none of this is related to the reason why I clicked the ad in the first place, right? Like these could be objections that I have, but it's better for these, in my opinion, and I don't work in e-com, so maybe I'm completely wrong. But in my opinion, it would be better to just keep these on the sales page or to keep these in more of a general product focused ad. This one is starting off with a pain point and it's comparing my shoe to the others. The big differentiator is the arch thing, like whatever that mechanism is. So stick on that and don't go to all of the other things that now make it just like every one of your competitors, right? Like all of your competitors, I'm sure their shoes are washable. I'm sure that um, also this is a little bit weird coming after this. This is a little bit weird because like I don't need to know that to click on the ad. I don't need to know that to click on the ad. Like these are things that can be answered on the product page. This you can keep in the ad. If you're going to do like a price reveal or whatever. But the way it's written now kind of doesn't make sense. So you would just have to reshape this. I think that's the big thing. And if you guys aren't familiar with the way that I think about edits, you got the idea edit, the narrative edit, and the line edit, right? The idea is whether or not your copy aligns with who you're writing it to. This, in this case, speaks to a person who's in pain from this, right? And so it's aligned, the idea makes sense. The narrative is the logic or the flow of the argument. This is what we're pointing out now. There are errors there. If the idea sucks, there's no point in doing narrative edits or line edits because no one's going to read the ad anyway. If the narrative sucks, there's no point in doing line edits because people are going to drop off anyway, right? So the idea was good. We didn't need to do idea edits. We just focused on narrative edits. Now there's no point in doing line edits because everything here is going to have to change anyway, right? So it's not going to be the same words and there's no point. But what I want to show you guys, I prepared something last night for you. And I decided I was going to reveal it on today's office hours, specifically for this because like a few people had asked me to do copy reviews, right? And so I was thinking, how cool would it be if we take one of those copy reviews and I show you guys a GPT workflow that I built for you. So I've got build GPTs for facilitating my workflows. I've got a ton of stuff, right? But I built these three last night. The Copy Collective Idea Edit Assistant, the Copy Collective Narrative Edit Assistant, and the Copy Collective Line Edit Assistant. And I'm going to give these to you guys today as a special gift. So what we're going to do is copy into each of these one after the other. And this collectively is about 150 pages of Jonathan's brain. How does Jonathan edit? Written into instructions for these GPTs. They're not perfect. There's a lot going on inside of these instructions, so sometimes it messes up, just like with the outputs and the way that it delivers stuff. So again, not perfect, but really, really good. So I'll give you guys the links to all of these in a sec, but I want to run you through them to show you how they work. Here, the Idea Edit Assistant, we're going to start by asking it to help us with an idea edit. And then what are we going to do? It's going to ask us to describe our one reader. That way it can understand whether or not our uh, aligns with it. So we're going to grab this, boom, drop it into here. It's not going to ask us for anything that you don't already have when you start writing. So you will ideally just have all this information ready. You'll be able to drop it in. It'll be good. Your answer gives me the condition they experience, but for the idea edit, I also need the demographics. So these men are 40 plus Americans and Europeans who are middle class, married, have children. They align with the typical demographics and psychographics for people in the US who are in this income range. We'll see if that's good enough. Thank you, but I'm still missing this information. Oh yeah, I told it it's not allowed to guess. So I guess I've got to describe them a little bit more. I don't really know this audience. So we'll say their personality traits. They are very casual, standard people. They have normal hobbies like going to the bar on Friday night. with the boys and spending weekends with their families. However, recently they've been frustrated about not being able to engage in physical activity because of their pain. Let's see if that's enough. I've got I've also got these built out specifically for Dr. Mike for Sculpt by Science, the brand that I work with. And so all of this information is already in the knowledge base as an avatar doc. So it'll just ask me like, who are you speaking to? And I'm like, speaking to this avatar, and it's already got all this. But because this is for you guys, I had to take all of that out, so it's all going to be the process. Based on the avatar, which mass desire is this copy primarily targeting? The desire to eliminate pain and regain um, ability and the sense that comes with it. Which stage of awareness? So this will say solution aware because they're aware of all of these other shoes, but not specifically for this brand. Stage sophistication, stage 4, because they've already heard probably every mechanism of every shoe like this. Which lead type were you aiming for? This one seems to be a problem solution. Here we go. Now we'll take this copy. See if it pastes it correctly like that. Yeah, cool. Then we'll drop it in, and we'll see what happens. And here it also figures out what the golden thread is, so that it knows what the idea is all the way through the ad. So here it's saying that it's a new version of pain relief shoes that adapt to the foot's shape to relieve plantar fascia pressure and reduce pain. Is it aligned with the audience? Yes. Is it aligned with the mass desire? Yes. Is it aligned with the stage of awareness? The copy should introduce a unique mechanism as the differentiator. You do introduce smart step technology, but the copy behaves more like product wear. So yes, this, just because it doesn't know what the supporting visuals would be, if we put in those supporting visuals the way we talked about, and then adjust the script a little bit, it will be properly aligned. Lead type is aligned. Cool. Sophistication, evolution, refinement, or improvement. This will be taken care of with the visuals, so we're good there. And then pain promise mechanism clarity. Mechanism is mentioned. Yeah, that's going to be explained with the visuals as well. So perfect. This passes the general idea edit. And then here, this is based on Kyle Milligan's NESB with an added U for urgent. So is it new, easy to use, safe and predictable, big results, and is there urgency? Yes, it is new. Yes, it is easy. Yes, it is presented as safe. Yes, it is big, but there is no urgency. So is there a way for us to create urgency within this ad? Potentially. So that's one thing to keep in mind as we go through this. If you were to go back and do edits, and then it just gives you overviews of everything there. So you've run it through. This is exactly how Jonathan would rate your copy. And then you take this and you go into the narrative edit next. So I jump into here and it's going to ask me to put in my my summary from the idea edit. So I can grab this, copy, and paste, so I don't need to do that manually. And then we'll say that this is an ad script with a CTA to visit a product page to purchase the shoes. Oh no, I feel very scared all the time, but that's just my anxiety. What type of structure? So then here, it understands different persuasion frameworks based on what you select. So we'll just say that this is short form because that's what it is. And then what are some objections? What do we feel this audience would have as objections? That you had that in your doc? Yeah. So we need to know that before we move forward. I'm just going to paste whatever you give me into this. So write it out exactly as you would want the GPT to understand it. I've already tried so many shoes. Why would these ones work? Okay, cool. The biggest. Jesus. Why would you do that? That I'm trying to work on is I've already tried so many shoes. Why would these work? Oh, it was Alvar for sure. Okay, great. So now we're going to grab the copy. I'll just grab it from here since we've already pasted it. Control. Boom. Done. Before I begin, is this the full script? Yes, it is. And now we're going to get our narrative edit. So here we've got the context. Is the golden thread aligned all the way through? Yes, perfect. You maintained that idea. Macro structure, does it make sense? Yes, perfect. Lead to body bridge. So that's just the transition from the lead into the body. Yes, it makes sense. Target structure partially aligned. The primary avatar objection, why would these work when others didn't, is engaged through a problem mechanism beat. A clear claim is present, followed by a promise, and primary/secondary proof, podiatrist approved plus user count. However, the benefit beat is not distinctly separated from the proof beat, and the secondary proof appears compressed into the general product list rather than tied directly to the objection. Very fair. Each beat performs a clear job. Good. The emotional arc begins with frustration and moves to relief. However, tension does not escalate meaningfully after the mechanism explanation, resulting in a flatter emotional trajectory. Loop is opened in the lead, or the loop that is open in the lead is closed, but no additional tension is built before the CTA, sorry. That's good feedback. And then momentum into the CTA. The logical momentum is present, but emotional and objection level momentum is weaker. CTA appears after logistical details, which slightly flattens persuasive intensity. Agree. So that's what we were pointing out here. Just like this part comes before this, so it doesn't really flow well. And then this is aligned, so we're good. And then here, overarching misalignments. Here, you can get a little bit more emotional during this part of it. Here, a little bit weird because of the way that you do this before the CTA. This, I think, kind of covers the same as this. And then here, same thing where it's just like what we said, like the logistical stuff shouldn't come between that and then the CTA. So we're good. And then here are some recommendations. And then we can take that after we make those changes. So between each of these, you would want to go back and make your changes, right? So we're going to take whatever feedback we get here, throw it into our copy, change it, run it through again, and be like, hey, I've edited the copy. Can you scan it again? It'll give you more feedback. And then when you're good, you take that and you move it into the narrative one, take this feedback, make modifications. Hey, I made changes. What do you think? Get new feedback, do that as many times as you have to. And then when it's good, you take that final version, move into the line editor. So we go into the line editor, and it's going to ask us for the summary of this. We'll take that. Sit here. And it's just going to confirm with us. So yes, this is full, the full summary. Here is the copy. So sometimes it'll double check on these points right here, the asset type and the CTA and the structure. So if you get another output here where it's like, hey, I just want to confirm, like that's a normal thing that it does sometimes. And then we'll come here, I'll grab this copy again, drop it in, boom. And then I think it's going to ask us to confirm that this is the full copy. This is the full copy, boom. And now it's going to give us line edits. And this is the only this is the only assistant that allows for examples to be given. You saw in the other two, it's really just ideas, right? So it's like, hey, change this because of this, and it doesn't say do it like this, right? Because that I don't think is useful for you as a copywriter. You should be doing that yourself, and that's the only way you're going to learn and actually get good ideas. But the lines, it's a little bit more, it's easier to teach, and it's easier for me to explain to the GPT as well how to do that. So the line editor, this one, it will give you suggestions, and it'll do it line by line. So this is why most orthopedic shoes suck and actually make the pain worse. Loaded language is fine, but suck may overskew the casual tone for a 40 plus avatar, and you're missing a chance to contrast and create sensory specificity. So what's an example of how you could do that? This is why most orthopedic shoes fall short and why they can even make that sharp heel pain flare up. I wouldn't take this exactly as is, but I see what it's trying to do, and so I understand that what it's saying is same thing as we're doing here, open with a comparison, but then just be very specific about what part of like the emotional or physiological or physical or whatever experience you're referring to, so that they can dimensionalize that for themselves. Most orthopedic or pain relief shoes don't adapt to your foot's shape. Simple, but could use a stronger verb plus clear contrast. Add a more vivid action verb. Most orthopedic or pain relief shoes never mold to your foot's shape. That, I guess, is kind of the same. Like, you don't always have to take these suggestions either, but that's whatever. And what ends up happening is that the sole of the shoe actually starts poking the inflamed area of your plantar fascia every time you walk. Long, overly formal construction, weak verbs, could heighten sensory detail. So the sole presses right into the inflamed spot with every step. I do like this better. So I could change that. Causing that sharp stabbing pain in your foot, fragment sentence, gets worse as weak, strengthen the verb, and that makes that sharp stabbing pain flare even harder. Not a huge difference, but I do agree that this one's better. And that's where these new version shoes come in. New version shoes is unclear phrasing, agree. Missing sensory or identity anchor, clarify what's new and tighten the construction. And that's where this new version of pain relief shoe steps in. This, obviously, it doesn't know what the new part is, right? And it's also going line by line. So if there's context before or after, it might give bad suggestions because it doesn't see that. Like sometimes it'll tell me, you should have done this. And then I'm like, well, that's in my next line. So yes, I did do that. So you can make that call based on what you see in your script. They are podiatrists approved for plantar fasciitis. Grammar, podiatrists approved, could use small authority. They're approved by podiatrists for plantar fasciitis. So here it's just saying, I forget who pointed it out earlier, but they were just saying like this should be singular, not plural. They have already helped over 1,400 people. Alleviate is formal. Avatar responds better to plain American English. Missing sensory/emotional resonance. Use conversational phrasing. They've already helped over 1,400 people ease their foot pain. I agree with that. And unlike most other shoes, they use a new Smart Step technology to instantly adapt to the exact shape of your foot. Smart Step technology could be more sensory. Instantly adapt is good. Add a sensory cue. They use new Smart Step tech that molds to your foot the moment you step in. Yes, just because it's shorter, but I don't think there's a huge difference there. Eliminating the pressure off your plantar fascia. Fragment of sentence needs a stronger verb. Lifts the pressure off your plantar fascia, giving you instant relief. I agree with that. And this isn't just another shoe you'll end up wasting your money on. Cliche. It's not just another pair you buy, only to regret later. Yes, but also in the context of where this is, because it's the guarantee, you would want to frame it as being positive, right? Two conjunctions, money back, could be made more confident. So yes, if you're going to keep it pretty vanilla, but the suggestion that I gave you earlier overrides this. On top of all that, they're also machine washable, da 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 da. Very long. They're machine washable, stain resistant, so it's easy to keep them looking new. I would for sure replace that with that. They only cost half the price of other or of normal orthopedic shoes. They cost about half the price of what most orthopedic shoes run. It's whatever. You get them in 4 colors. Colors is spelt in the non-American way. That's true. And in 6 different sizes. And they come in 6 sizes. Yeah. Click below to secure your version pain relief shoes and start easing foot pain fast. Agree with that. Cool. So there you go. And then you can just run it back through as many times as you want to after you fix those suggestions and continue to get suggestions. And you could say, one thing I noticed was that my refund, um, or was that the sentence where I mentioned the guarantee is framed as a negative. I would like to frame it as a positive instead. What are your suggestions for doing that? And we'll see what it says. I've never tried this, so I don't know how it's going to react. Because they come with a 90-day money back guarantee. Oh, that's the original line, okay. Mm, I like this one a little bit more. I like this one too. So there you go. If you also know what you're looking for and you can have a vague idea of the theory, then let me see if it will work with something else. I like to use an open loop somewhere. The script. Where could I place it that would make sense? Let's see if it's able to do that, because that's more of a narrative thing, so I don't know if it'll be able to do it well right before the line. And that's where this new version. In a second, I'll show you why these shoes feel different. But there's a simple reason this new version actually works. More on that in a moment. Before I show you the fix, there's one thing most people never realize. Yeah, so this is cool. So there you go. How do you guys feel about this custom GPT workflow? Thumbs up, thumbs down, light up the chat, and say, wow, Jonathan, you're so smart, if you guys want me to drop this for you. Thank you. Thank you. This is me pushing for compliments. All right, let me grab these links for you guys. Oh, that's for specifically this chat. I'm not sure how to share it. Maybe I'm gonna go back into here. I'm in my Unk era. Hmm. I don't know if I just grab this link. Let me know if that works. Thank you, Alvar. You are also handsome and smart. Okay, it looked like that worked. So let me know if you guys are able to access that with that link, and I'll drop the rest of them. Yes, perfect. So there's the second one, and then here's the third one. Got him. All right. And then the last thing for today. It looks like this is an email. Very cool. It's not too long. Reading by Blaine, texting OS bonus. Let's see. Oops. Let's see what this is. Texting operating system, send the right message every time. Discover the exact texts to go from zero to relationship without stress or anxiety. The results are paying for themselves. You guys are saying about Blaine. You aren't done, or you aren't alone. Texting is confusing. I've got good news for you. This is kind of a crap sales page. Type to be like, for sure, ChatGPT can replace my copywriters. They look happy together. Okay, cool. So we will look at this now. Don't be the guy who gets ghosted. Hey, first name. You've probably been in countless situations where you wish. So right away, I don't like the way this is written because this is one sentence. Why is it broken up? You've probably been in countless situations where you wish you could resend a message to her. You said something that this is the grammar or like the sentence structure on this for sure needs to be fixed because it's distracting enough to hurt the readability. You said something that felt right at the time, but you received, hey, you're really sweet, but then she ghosted you. The logic here doesn't quite make sense. I'm going to ask my boy Alvar if he agrees, because I know that he's getting some all the time. But Alvar, if a woman is going to ghost you, does she usually say, hey, you're really sweet, but beforehand, or does she just stop replying? That's what I'm saying. So this doesn't really make sense in the situation. But Alvar's never going to ghost in his life, so he has no idea. He's just too Chad. Women are all over him all the time. If you are one of those guys, hear what I'm about to tell you. Imagine if you knew exactly what to say to make her eager to see you again. The problem is that most guys don't know when or what to message. They send bad messages, they get ghosted, and they blame themselves. This cycle sucks. It's not surprising that 90% of guys hate texting. Source? Where did you find that 90% of guys hate texting? Messaging women doesn't have to be difficult. If you follow a few simple but critical rules, you can make anyone excited to flirt and chat with you. Start sending the right message every time with my texting OS. It includes 100 plus proven messages. I've A/B tested with 3,000 plus clients. What's inside? Why most guys fail at texting and why you can succeed. How to turn on app conversations to phone numbers and dates. How to turn personal. Are these from the sales page? Or are these original to you? Okay. How to land a second date without looking needy, how to build deeper emotional or deeper connections with women, how to move things to the bedroom, what to say when she starts pulling back, what to say to reboot a relationship with an ex. Grade 4 point. Discover exactly. Cool. So I'm gonna ask the crowd. We like to play this game on a scale of 1 to 3, where 1 is I would not read this copy, 2 is it gets me just intrigued enough for me to give it a chance, and 3 is man, I'm so excited. Let me go through this. How do you guys feel on a scale of 1, 2, and 3? What is 3? Like he's trying to get more discovery calls booked with women. Alvar, your CFO would love you for taking action on this. Do you want a $10 Amazon gift card? I just want to talk to you over a coffee. The bullets seem basic. I don't think he's relating to the prospect very well. I have issues with the bullets too. I don't think they're super bad bullets, but my issue with the bullets is that logically, I feel like this one doesn't really make sense. How to move things to the bedroom. Like, if I'm moving things to the bedroom, I'm on the date. I'm not trying to get things to the bedroom by texting. So, this is going to sound so shitty when I say this, so I apologize if I hurt your feelings. But my take on this is like, this is clearly not a guy who talks to girls who wrote this because this is not how things go. This is not what dating is like or talking to girls. So, um, my feedback would be, Omar said this, I think. Yeah, I don't think he's relating to the prospect very well. I think that is the biggest issue because if you study the prospect more and if you really understood their day to day and their life situation, you would be able to write a better email for them. But this, I think, really misses the mark because it's not actually what my experience is. Like, it's so different from my experience that even if I'm not successful with women, right? Like, I do have that real pain. If I read this, it's not motivating me to do anything at all. Unless if I'm just so desperate that I scroll to the bottom and I'm like, "Oh, there's a thing I can buy," and it vaguely relates to this, but the story doesn't have me hooked, so I might not even go all the way down to it. And yeah, it's crucial for the reader to think that you understand their pain. It's in Great Leads in the problem solution lead section or chapter that Mark Ford writes something along the lines of you need to be able to describe this pain viscerally in a way that's relatable to the prospect so they know that you understand what their situation is. And if you can describe the person's situation better than they can describe it themselves, they think that you have the solution. If you always have this anxiety or you always have this negative feeling or this negative emotion that's sitting beneath the surface, you can't put words on it, but you know that it's there. And then all of a sudden I can describe it to you and then I can tell you why that thing exists. You look to me and you think this person knows what he's talking about. He must be an expert on this topic, whether it's he must have been through it himself or he must have done whatever. But he definitely knows what I'm going through, and so I trust him implicitly. It's like with you guys. If I were to say, like, let's say, open an email, and we'll use the same subject line. We'll say, like, "Don't be the guy who gets ghosted," and I'm writing to Yusuf, let's say, as my avatar. um, don't be the guy who gets ghosted, and it opens up, and I say, Yusuf, how many looms have you recorded this week? 5, 10, 15? And how many replies have you gotten this week? Still sitting at 0, right? Then if I start with something like that, Yusuf's like, fuck, like that is exactly what I'm going through right now. And then I can keep dimensionalizing that scenario, and I'm like, you block off like an hour and a half every single day to do a full audit of the websites, of the ads, of the emails that come after you opt in, and you write down your thoughts in the most structured, coherent, thoughtful way. And you take your time to really speak clearly and you work through that anxiety and you make the loom. It's 15, it's 20 minutes, but it's so much more time than that you've invested. And you send it off and you get crickets, right? You know that you shouldn't expect people to reply to your cold outreach, but it still hurts. And after a while, I understand why you would choose to not want to do it anymore. Because what is even the point if people aren't going to open your emails, they're not going to click on the loom, they're not going to reply? That's why, Yusuf, I have whatever XYZ strategy that's actually better than what you're doing right now, and it gets all these replies and social proof and whatever, right? So that is like that's a better example of dimensionalizing a story, but I can only describe that story because I know what it's like to be that type of person because I've been around so many of you who've told me the same story over and over again, right? Like you guys all go through the same thing. So it's just for me exposure to the people who are doing this to know what the problems are. In the case of writing for Dr. Mike and Sculpt by Science, I have a 200 page, this sounds ridiculous, but it's real, I promise. I have a 200-page avatar doc that I use that has all of these dimensionalized stories about every desire and every pain point. All the objections are in there, all the alternative solutions are in there, everything he's tried before, his story with his wife, his story with his family. And that makes my copy so easy to write because I can put myself in Michael Chen, that's the name of my avatar. I can put myself in Michael Chen's shoes and I can think, okay, cool, if he were in this scenario, this is what he's going through, and this is what he experiences, and this is why he thinks this way, and this is what his wife reacted to, and this is how his children are behaving. And like these are all these things, right? So you have to know everything about your avatar if you're going to write good copy. Actually, I used almost every line that was written in the sales page. So that is kind of an L because your email should not just be a copy paste of somebody else's sales page. And we already said that this was garbage copy anyway, so if you're one of the guys who will match with an attractive woman, but then you're not sure what to say, or you don't want to say something awkward, weird, or creepy when you're trying to plan a date, you need to hear what I'm about to tell you. Messaging women doesn't have to be difficult. Seriously, yeah, this is just garbage copy, so I would not rely on this. And then Blaine is definitely not the number one dating coach for men. Like, there's no way. There's, if you go far back enough, I know that David D'Angelo doesn't teach dating anymore, but Evan Pagan, he's been like doing dating info products since the 90s. You go one generation after that, you've got like Eric Von Markovich, Mystery, right? He's been doing it since the early 2000s. Then after that, you have the RSD guys who've been doing it since the like mid late 2000s. You have Neil Strauss in the early 2000s as well, or I think like 2005, 2006. So there's no way that Blaine is the number one dating coach. So I think she's a girl, unless she's just this man is just using stock images of women throughout. But Blaine has bad copy, period. And then Blaine is also lying all the way through. So there's also this weird thing, like I've A/B tested. This for sure was written by a copywriter because normal people don't talk like this. Like nobody says I've A/B tested things unless they're a marketer. Blaine straight up capping on God. So if you want to take another shot at this, what I would recommend is if you go onto the swipe file. Do I have it open? I do. So go into the swipe file, and we have some dating promos in here. Let me see. This one I think is more personal development. Yeah. This one's a good one. His Secret Obsession. This one is also targeted at women, though. So I don't know if that translates to exactly what you're trying to do. Men of Action is a good one. Michael Sartain. If you look him up, he's more of like a build a social circle and not exact dating. Social Circle Blueprint is good. This is an older one. I love when people comment to my stuff. Text Chemistry is another ClickBank one. This one's aimed at men, so this might be the closest to what you're doing. Or no, sorry, Text Chemistry is aimed at women. But if you want to try that, you can try it. Also, PUA copy, especially for love-deprived dudes, is pretty good because they're the target market. They can relate to the avatar, RIP, so it's easier, yeah, for sure. Uh, Chris Haddad has written a lot of good dating promos as well. What about the one dating sales letter Sean always pulls up? Which one does he always pull up? If you tell me the name, I might be able to find it. Blueprint Decoded is more of a personal development based on dating, because this is like inner game and stuff. Pulling the women to the dick. I don't think I know that one. And if you go on to ClickBank and just look at relationship and sex promos, find a bunch of stuff. So that is my feedback on that. Do you have any questions, my friend? Thank you for sharing this. No problem. If you go into the Copywriting Collective community swipe file, you'll find tons of stuff. Are all the promos in the Copy Collective considered W's? Because I found some of them pretty weird, so I was wondering. No, they're not all W's. They're more there for stylistic inspiration, but a lot of them I do know are high converting promos. If you ask me about a specific one, I might be able to tell you, because there are some that are weird, but I know for sure worked really well. For example, a lot of the survival promos, a lot of dating promos are really weird. A lot of the stuff in the Elite Boardroom, you're kind of like, what? But those, I know all of them worked. With SAS, I only picked the highest or the biggest SaaS platforms, so some of it's more brand than direct response. I might pull a John balcony photo soon since I'm going to a rooftop. Yes, sir. I know exactly what you mean. That's my Zoom photo still. So whenever I log into Zoom, people see me handsome. Yes, I'm gonna take pics. Let's go. Any other questions before we finish? This has been a 2.5 hour office hours session, so I'm about ready to end. No problem, my friends. I'm very happy to provide value and to help. And starting next week, since I'm not with the agency anymore, I'll be doing a lot more streaming during the day. So, not while I'm in Texas, and I'm going to Texas in like 2 weeks. But while I'm here, I'll just like work and keep myself in office hours. That way, I can talk to you guys about what I'm doing and teach you a little bit as I'm working on stuff. Because in my opinion, that is the best way to learn is to watch other people do it and then just be like, oh shoot, I never knew that was possible, or I never thought of doing that. Blocked by the AI you created, so I'm done. Thank you for the raw and real advice. No problem, my friend. Um, so I think that the big issue is like first you have to pick a good promo, and then once you have a good promo, you can write good emails to drive clicks to that promo, and that should solve a lot of what you're experiencing. Our jobs are cooked if John is doing this already. No problem, friends. All right, cool. Then we will end on that. Thank you very much to everyone for showing up, and thanks especially to everyone who was here for the whole 2.5 hours. That was really great. I love hanging out with you guys, and I appreciate the participation, the questions, the requests for feedback. In the new year, I'm planning on starting to do a lot more promotion of the Copywriting Collective and hoping to make it grow again because for a long time, the Copy Collective has been pretty stagnant because the Copy That guys, they're driving all their traffic to the Copy That server now, I think. And on my side, I'm just like, I haven't pushed the Copy Collective in a really long time. So I will, in the new year, start promoting it again. And that means if that goes well, that means that this could be one of the last little intimate office hours that we have. So I would like to enjoy these last few sessions with you guys. And when you think in the future about how much being a part of the Copywriting Collective changed your life and how much opportunity it gave you and how much it helped you with your networking and stuff, just remember that it's good to give back. So the reason why I do everything that I do in the CC is because the CC gave so much to me. And when you guys feel like you're good enough to provide value as well, hang out in Gen Chat, go into critiques, go into questions, help the next generation of people become better, because that's how we're going to keep things moving forward. And that's how we create opportunities for others the same way that opportunities were created for us, right? Like the only reason Sean is where he is because Mark Ford wanted to help him. The only reason that I'm where I am and Alex is where he is because Sean wanted to help us. Right now, we're doing that for this next generation of copywriters. And then if you guys can keep that cycle going, then the world just becomes a better place. So that's all I ask of you. Thank you very much, my friends. I hope that you all have a fantastic weekend, and I will see you all next Friday.